2018. Think back to this moment. The joy in Times Square, the optimism for a new year full of unity where calmer heads will prevail.
The Democrats are a big risk to the American family.
President is unfit to be president.
And I put this hat on, it made me feel like Superman.
Mr. President, your comments were the disgrace.
Yikes. In politics, the talk has only been getting hotter, but just days from now, you have a say. This week, we're in Colorado, looking at major social issues. This state's become the capital of legal marijuana in America. We're also looking at issues of race, the environment, and many other topics that can light a fiery debate. But no hot takes here, just the facts so you know what to do on Election Day. This is The Race. Welcome into The Race. I'm Chris Stewart, and we're now less than 2 weeks away from the midterm elections. And this week, we're taking a look at social issues, how those could come into play on Election Day. And we've come to Colorado, the first state to legalize recreational marijuana back in 2012. Now there are 9 states where recreational marijuana is legal. It's legal for medicinal purposes in 22 states. On the ballot this midterm, Utah and Missouri are looking at making medical marijuana legal, while North Dakota and Michigan are looking at expanding it for recreational purposes. Now, here in Colorado, we went inside a dispensary to show you how these businesses are run and the rules that they need to follow. Does it ever blow your mind that you're legally selling marijuana?
Oh, every day.
Yeah.
Yes. And anytime we travel and you tell people what it is that you do and you talk to them about it, I think it's shocking.
Amy Anderle and her husband grow and sell recreational marijuana at their Denver dispensary legal.
We're a true mom and pop shop, so we have everything riding on this.
This year, Colorado marijuana sales already passed $1 billion. A valuable industry that comes with a lot of rules.
On any given day, you can be subject to inspections and people stopping in to see how you're conducting your business.
State and local governments keep a close eye on the industry. And as it evolves, the regulations constantly change. Sounds like you have a lot to remember and a lot of things to think about every single day, beyond just the product itself.
It is. But you know, I would look at other industries that are also regulated, and it is extremely high in cannabis. And I think there's sort of a need to feel like they want to make sure that they're being very thorough.
And with marijuana on ballots again this election cycle, Amy hopes the green rush that hit Colorado continues to spread. What do you feel the future is when it comes to cannabis across the country?
I would be hopeful and say that really I think that there's going to be an end to federal prohibition at some point. I think that consumers deserve that. They all should have a right to the same medicine. If you look at it just strictly from a medicinal standpoint, there are so many benefits that come to it. Why shouldn't every state have that?
Now, some people who are against the legalization of marijuana will sometimes claim that it's a gateway to harder drugs, while those who support the legalization say it can help fight opioid abuse. You can find studies that support both of those claims, but there is no question that the opioid epidemic is weighing heavily on communities across the country. Corey Rangel talking to both Republicans and Democrats about fighting it side by side.
It's one of the few things that brought Democrats and Republicans together. Congress passed a bipartisan bill to address the opioid epidemic, and this week the president signed it into law.
Opioids is definitely an issue where there's a lot of bipartisan agreement. We saw the Senate pass their version of the opioid legislation 99-1. The House also overwhelmingly passed legislation back in June the first time around to address this issue.
It's a bipartisan issue that's affecting everybody.
On average, a person dies from an opioid overdose every 8 minutes, according to the CDC.
Right now, we're in a point in our society where every average person, everyday person is affected by this. So one pill kills.
The impact of the problem is so big, it forced both political parties to come together to pass a bill that will boost programs to treat addictions, keep a closer eye on prescriptions, and promote research to find new drugs that are not as addictive.
I think the next step is to start enacting some of the changes that this legislation offered, because in a lot of ways this was a comprehensive bill, but we need to see what's going to be most effective and what works.
For The Race, I'm Corey Rangel.
Drug abuse and homelessness are two social issues that often find themselves intertwined. Nicole Vowell went to Austin, Texas to see how they're helping the homeless there with a place to call their own.
Near the crossroads of peaceful and goodness lies a village of hope. For people like Bonnie Durkee.
We're just going to the end of the street.
Bonnie, a retired veteran who relies on her neighbors.
Hey, Bonnie.
Hey, Shorty.
To keep her going. She lives in a place called Community First Village, a colony of tiny homes in Austin, Texas. And like Bonnie,
I was alone. Nobody knew where I was at.
The majority here share similar stories of once being homeless.
The average unit is about 200 square feet, and Bonnie is one of about 200 people who call this community home.
It's a 27-acre master plan community designed to lift the most chronically homeless men and women on our streets.
You're not done building.
No, we're not done.
Alan Graham is the mastermind behind this one-of-a-kind nonprofit. Since 2015, he's served about 1,200 chronic homeless in Austin, giving them a place to restart.
This model is like welcoming our family home, and that's the profound difference.
His aim is to promote action elsewhere, to grab the attention of leaders in other cities, hoping to create a solution to the homeless crisis nationally.
There's about 500,000 people living on the streets.
So people like Bonnie and others
Good to get out and have friends over, you know what I mean? My neighbors.
Can come to their own crossroads, one that leads them to not just a home, but a better life.
My house is one step away from heaven.
For The Race, I'm Nicole Vowell reporting.
When we return here on The Race, healing through creativity, bringing awareness and resources to survivors of domestic abuse.